because new polls are out and it doesn't look good for Kamala Harris. I have not been this worried in a long time. So we don't have a lot of time left. We have less than a month left, and she's now losing in almost all the swing states. So I'm going to go break down all the numbers for you guys. They don't look great. I'm going to give you what people in DC are saying, Democratic Party are saying, Republican pollsters, everyone across the board, how are the markets doing, et cetera. First, look, I'm telling you this not again to ha or whatever. I'm telling you because the pundits are almost always wrong. They never come back and tell you, oh, yeah, we got it wrong, et cetera. They don't tell you oftentimes ahead of time. They do Monday morning quarterback. They've, all those different things that they do wrong. The reason I tell you guys stuff ahead of time is so you can see whether I'm right or not. So you can see whether you should trust our analysis of what is reality, not what we want, but what is reality. So that's why in that context, let me tell you, 4 days ago, this weekend on October 5th, I wrote, I think Trump is going to retake the lead. Kamala started playing prevent defense with too small a lead by having her surrogates tell everyone how pro-business she is. She accidentally gave up the mantle of the change candidate. That's what's going to decide this election. Now, she did other things wrong too, and I'll get into that in a second. But I started getting the same sense over the weekend that I got the weekend before the 2016 election. You go back and you read my tweets from that weekend, from early November of 2016, and I start saying, "Oh boy, a lot of signs are looking bad. I know Hillary Clinton has a big lead, but I'm super worried. Every spidey sense I have, every poll, every anecdote, not poll, the polls were mixed, okay, and Hillary Clinton was leading in the polls overall, but the underlying numbers were scaring me. So all of those things were leading me to go, watch out, warning. You remember what I said on election night in 2016 over and over again. Brace for impact, right? And so I hate to say that to you right now. And there's still plenty of time to turn it around. Not plenty of time, but some time. And I think she can turn it around because it's not like it's over. It's not like it's a blowout. No, she's got a small disadvantage in the swing states, but it is definitely a disadvantage. So let me start breaking it down for you guys. First, I'll start with the smallest piece of evidence, and I'll work up to numbers and the biggest piece of evidence. So Mark Halperin is a guy who was an establishment insider for a long time, was all over MSNBC and Morning Joe for a long time. He had personal issues, etc. You take this with a grain of salt, especially because he's talking about private polls. But he says that in all the private polls that he is seeing, she's now losing almost everywhere. Let me give you one of his quotes. He says, the conversation I'm having with Trump people and Democrats with data are extremely bullish on Trump's chances in the last 48 hours. Extremely bullish. We think of the 7 battleground states. Which one is Harris in danger of losing? I would say Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. Well, that's almost all of them. And he finishes by saying, I'm not saying she'll lose all 6, but she is in danger. I want you to take note of the fact that it's in the last 48 hours that this has happened. Now, that's why I told you about me saying it over the weekend. Because, guys, there are certain things you do that make a difference, especially in an election this tight. Running towards populism and trying to serve the average American works. Running towards big business and Dick Cheney does not work. It's a bad strategy. Hiding from the press does not work. Saying that you're the same as Biden does not work. Saying Trump's a bad guy. Brother, I mean, we've been doing this for over 10 years. Nobody says Trump's a bad guy more than I do. We got a whole TrumpBrackets.com about all the terrible things that he did. You're not going to outdo me on how terrible you think Trump is. But that's not the point right now. The point is, how do you win this election? And it's not rocket science. You offer the average American things that they need and things that they want. You should be their representative. You should be their fighter. You should be out there fighting for them. And right now, they're not seeing it. So when I saw that they weren't doing the fundamentals right, I said, uh-oh, now she's going to lose the lead. And she has. So I wish to God I wasn't right. Sometimes I feel like Bruno, And you know how, if you never saw that, Disney movie. I think it was a Disney movie. Anyway, it's a animated movie. It's beautiful. It's a Madrigal and Encanto is the name of the movie. Anyways, all the kids know we don't talk about Bruno. No, no, no. And it's a guy whose magic power is to be able to tell the future, but people hate him for it because he winds up being right, and then they think, oh, did he cause it? And I feel like I'm in that movie, and the establishment keeps saying we caused it when we tell them ahead of time, watch out, iceberg straight ahead. Obviously, we said that in a giant way about Joe Biden, and they didn't listen for a long, long time. Now they realize it. But by the way, later they'll pretend that Biden was the right candidate. Anyways, but the point is that I wish I was wrong about it, but you could see these trends. We're not wrong. There's a reason why Bernie had a 12-point lead on Donald Trump on election day in 2016. It's not because we're biased towards our side. It's because economic populism works. Hey, I'll tell you when I don't think these days progressive social issues are a winning strategy. So we're super honest about it. I don't know what more we can do to convince them, but let me give you more information. So now this is a CNN reporter, Priscilla Alvarez, talking to Dana Bash on air. And she says, what's also creeping in now is that anxiety. The reason for that is because these polls are not really moving despite multiple battleground blitzes, despite the opportunities she has had across media outlets. Now, let me pause there to clarify. The polls are moving a little bit towards Trump, and a little bit takes it from a small lead she had to a small lead he has. And that makes a giant difference. They're saying it's not moving in a positive direction for Kamala Harris. That's why the Democrats are the ones that have the anxiety, as she's explaining here. She says, quote, there's still not a lot of movement from voters who are moving more towards her versus former President Donald Trump. In fact, I had one source describe it to me this way, quote, people are nervous. They know the polls are tight. A lot of us are having these flashbacks of 2016 too. We know when it can go the wrong way, and it can still feel fresh. So now a lot of people are talking about 2016, and it's not just guys like me who are warning, watch out. Okay. It's even the establishment types are beginning to see those polls and they're getting super nervous. So I'm going to give you those in 1 second here, but one more piece of data, and that is about the markets. So you can say, hey, the markets isn't polling, and I don't believe the markets. You can say anything you like, okay? And but the reality is people are putting their money behind this. So it's not like just knuckleheads going, what's the big deal? No, they're putting their money where their mouth is. And it's not end all be all, but it is a factor. And by the way, you know what Polymarket was super right about? That's the market that I use. That's one of our sponsors. But I look at it all the time because it's been right on a lot of things. And the thing that it was most right about was Tim Walz. And I didn't think that she had any chance of picking him. And when I see something predict something better than I do, I go, whoa. Yeah, and that might be a little bit of my arrogance to say the least, but I'm just being honest with you guys. And so, and markets can often tell you where the crowd is going, and they might know something you don't know, or they have a sense of it. Remember, everybody's in their bubble, and this gives you the whole national bubble. So anyway, I'm on polymarket.com. Now Kamala Harris had taken a small lead, and I was like 51-49, or I was like, I don't think so. I think Kamala had a bigger lead back then when I was talking about it 2 weeks ago. And even a week ago, I thought, at right around now, Wednesday-ish of last week, I thought she's got a lead, and I thought there was some chance she could expand it, but then she's done everything wrong since then. And now it's 53-46. That's not that close for Trump, obviously. So that's a 7-point lead for Trump. So now the markets are feeling like, oh, he's taking the lead. So now let's get to the numbers. This is Michigan, where 2 weeks ago, and even a week ago, she had a lead, and 2 weeks ago, almost started to feel comfortable. Like, look at this, 925. So that's right around 2 weeks ago. She was up by 3 points in two different polls, in Bloomberg and Cook Political Report. Very credible polls in Michigan. And that's when I started to go, oh, okay, looks like she took the lead. Here we go. And maybe she could add to it. Maybe it'll fluctuate back and forth. I don't know what's going to happen in that regard. But then, boom, now last set of polls coming in, Trafalgar, Trump +2, MIRS, MI News Source, Trump +1, Quinnipiac, very credible, very legitimate, +4 for Trump. Oof. That's Michigan. She's got to win Michigan. And so now if she's losing Michigan, I'm super worried. But Pennsylvania is the most important state. How's it going there? Well, she was +5 in Bloomberg 2 weeks ago. And they're all over the place. There's ties here. Then there was +3 for Trump about, a little bit later than that, about 5 days after that. Quinnipiac came in with a +2 for Harris recently, but insider advantage, the last poll out of Pennsylvania, +2 Trump. So the last poll's not the only poll, but now in the average of polls, he's taking a +0.2 lead in Pennsylvania. She can't lose Pennsylvania. She can't. It's over if she loses Pennsylvania. This is like, we're worried about it's going to drag out, or is there going to be violence? Is there going to be denying elections? Democrats will whine and complain. They'll blame everyone under the sun, but they're not going to cheat and pretend they won the election, right? They've never done that. They're not going to do that. The Republicans who think Hillary Clinton whining about the 2016 election is not the same thing as setting up fake electors and considering martial law and saying we should terminate the Constitution. They're not going to do any of that. That's not what they do. They're the establishment. They don't want things to change, okay? So my point is, if Trump loses, it's going to get dragged out for a long time because he hates losing and he doesn't like to admit it, etc. But if Kamala Harris loses Pennsylvania right in the beginning of the night, it's over before it began. And the Democrats aren't going to do the same whining, crying, cheating, stealing, all that stuff. They'll concede right away. So, oh boy, losing Pennsylvania is a disaster. Is the combination of polls is just +2 now. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't be like despondent. Oh my God, I'm moving out of the country. Whatever people say, I always think that's crazy. But so she still has nearly a month. She can still turn around, but they have to turn around. You can't keep making the same mistakes. Tim Walz should be doing 1 billion interviews. He should be on a populist on steroids right now. So, all right, look, Georgia is really bad. I don't think she has really any chance of winning Georgia. North Carolina's kind of out the window these days. Trump's, well, it's not out the window. It's average of polls is just +0.6. It's closer than Georgia, which is 1.5. These are all pro-Trump. But guys, the recent polls, the average of polls takes both recent and non-recent polls. The recent polls are almost all trending in Trump's direction. Last one I'll give you is, I don't know if you think Arizona's already lost, but it looks like it might be. She took a brief lead there, but now last 3 polls, +3 Trump, +1 Trump, +2 Trump, overall +1.4 Trump. So as you look at this list, man, she has a little bit over a 1-point lead in Nevada. She has a half a point lead in a combination of the polls in Wisconsin. But then you look at them, and the most recent ones, Trafalgar +1 Trump, Quinnipiac +2 Trump. And that's the most recent one. This is trending in a very, very bad direction, guys. And the most important thing is for them to realize it. If they don't realize it, then they won't be able to turn around. They won't know that they have to turn around. And then they'll just slide in right into that iceberg. So, look, as a person who does not want Donald Trump to win this election, who's very worried about it, I'm going to do everything I can. So stay tuned to the Young Turks tomorrow. We're live at 6:00 Eastern. I'm ready for all emergency maneuvers. I'm trying to rally people behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, etc. Because I never want to. I'm not the guy who gives up. I'm the guy who fights to the very last second, and that's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to give people a heads up to fight to the last second. And thank you, Kathy McIntyre, for being a member and especially at the higher levels where it allows us to keep our prices down. You can hit the join button below to become a member, get the most honest reporting there is on the elections and on all the news, and try to fight for positive change in the world. Box, thank you for the super chat. I love our members. Zane the Magic Puffer Dragon, thank you for being a member for so long. Appreciate you guys. Okay, so look, guys, last couple of things. As we're if you don't want Trump to win, do everything you can to make that happen. Go canvas, do phone banking. Like today, we did phone banking. We did when I say we, TYT has Operation Hope. We do a town hall every Wednesday. You can go to tyt.com/hope, click on that, and it'll give you a place to register for the next town hall. And in this town hall, we did phone banking for Prop 5 in Massachusetts. Why are we doing phone banking for ballot measures? Because ballot measures are direct democracy. So Prop 5 in Massachusetts increases minimum wage for tip workers. Right now, it's $6.75, brings it up to $15. Love it. Prop 32 in California is right at 50-50. It's driving me crazy that it's 50-50. That's for all workers and brings it up to $18, which is barely keeping up with inflation in California. So California is a very, very expensive state. I don't know how anybody's going to live on $18 an hour. But that's what we got to get it up to. If you vote yes on that ballot measure, we're going to do phone banking for Prop 32 as well. There's Prop 1 in Maine. These are all yeses, okay? And that's to get money out of politics. And we got to get money out of politics. We did phone banking for that earlier. And the group organizing it said we had more people reached than any other group that did phone banking for that. So we try to make a difference in the world. So if all you want is the news, great. We give you the news, most honest place you can get it, no question. And we do real context and analysis, as you can see, live weekdays, 6 o'clock Eastern. Make sure you're tuning in, and everybody you know is tuning in to get the real news. But on top of that, for the people who want to make a little bit of a positive difference in the world, we started Just Democrats. We started so many things on this show that's made a difference. We got Bernie to introduce minimum wage in the first relief bill under Biden, et cetera. And now we're fighting for all of the folks who want higher wages. That's for all Americans, Republicans, Democrats. It doesn't matter. Higher wages for the average American, Republicans, Democrats. It doesn't matter. They all want money out of politics. That main measure is doing really well because of that. Bucks, thank you for gifting 5 Young Turks memberships. Really appreciate you. Cinema. Thank you for the super chat. I know it's hard to convince Trump people, but remember, right now, you're not trying to convince MAGA if you want Kamala Harris to win or you want Donald Trump to lose. You're trying to convince undecided and independent voters. So, but the number one person who has to do that is Kamala Harris. So, for God's sake, she's got to turn around and start talking about what she's going to do for you. Stop talking about business interests. Stop talking about Dick Cheney. Stop talking about how you're like Joe Biden. And, oh, I'm not Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's a bad guy. You're maxed out on those. And as the CNN reporter explained, they've raised over $1 billion. Now they're starting to not talk about it anymore because it's getting embarrassing how much they raised. But the thing is, they're using it in all their ads and it's not working. So if that strategy and that messaging isn't working, you have to move to new messaging. What worked for you? And you don't have to take my word for it. You know what worked for you. You surged when you picked the populist progressive Tim Walz, when you did the populist progressive economic proposals on housing and on food prices and consumer good prices. Go back to what worked for you, which was just a month or two ago. So it, again, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out, but sometimes you have to be outside of the bubble to realize it and notice it. So that's the latest. Obviously, we'll have way more for you guys tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern, as we always do. Disco Stew, thank you for the super chat, and thank you for saying that we deliver the truth. We appreciate all you guys. Our members are I think they're the greatest. Like, such great contributions during the live show. I love reading your comments. I love doing the live polls when we're on the air. And you guys, without you, we don't even exist. So, and I love that you guys back us, and that allows us to do this kind of honest reporting. You're amazing. And thank you for the super chat with the hilarious handle of Eat My Shorts. And we have fun too, even in bad times. All right. So that's the latest on the campaign. It is definitely concerning news, but there is plenty of time to turn them around as long as they get the message. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.